make some more. Okay, welcome everyone. There are some new faces here. This is, I'm Vaughn Lawrence. I'm a naturopath. My business is Spirit of Health. There's also Natural High Wellness Center here as well. For those of you who haven't been here before, it's a full-service wellness center. Angel, who owns Natural High, she's a certified colon hydrotherapist. So we do colon hydrotherapy here, far infrared sauna, ion foot baths, and there's a couple massage therapists here as well. And then I have a store over there as well. The reason I opened a store is because I believe there's a lot of synthetic and cheaply made junk, for lack of a better term, in most health food stores. So my motto is close to the way God created it as possible, because there are some companies out there making some amazing supplements that aren't synthetic. So that's why I opened a store. So welcome to our first Tuesday class of the year. I'm doing a series called The Basics. And I'm going to first start by saying that what some of these basic things are might not seem basic to you. They might seem like radical changes, but when you start incorporating some of these things into your daily life, they'll become really simple for you. But people are used to the things that they've been doing for years and years or their whole lives. So some of these things might seem drastic, but I want you to understand that these are what I feel are the basic things you need to be healthy. And it's the first 10 steps. And again, this is, to me, just the initial 10 steps. It goes way beyond this, but these are the first things that you should really do. Hey, come on in. How you doing? There's a couple seats up here. So I'm going to go ahead and hand this out. Dad, could you maybe print? I think we're going to need some more of these.
Sure.
I made 15, but start handing those around.
Let me squeeze through here.
And the way I designed this is so that you guys kind of have a tool to use. With each of the 10 steps, there's steps within the steps, and we'll kind of go over those so you can kind of chart your progress. And as always, if you guys ever have any questions about anything, because we're going to cover a lot of material in a short period of time, and we're unfortunately not going to be able to do a lot of justice to each one of these. But if you have questions, just raise your hand. I want to make sure all your questions are answered right away. One of my big things is that the only way to permanently change your health and to have great health is to make permanent lifestyle changes. We live in a world of quick fixes, diet programs, a pill for every ill, and if we haven't learned it by now, I'll tell you again that doesn't bring about long-term health. No diet, no pill, even something natural is going to fix you if you don't address basic lifestyle changes. So you don't have. There's a chair up here.
I'm good.
You sure?
I'm sure. It's harder to fall off
As long
the floor.
as you're comfortable. So it's important to make these lifestyle changes. And the cool thing about it is you can do these one at a time. You can do these 1 week at a time. You can do this 1 month at a time. I don't care how you do it, but start doing it. And what's just as important, I think, is one thing I talk about a lot in my classes is consciousness and awareness. You're not going to be perfect on this. Nobody is. I wouldn't expect anybody to be. I'm not. I sure as heck wouldn't expect you guys to be. But it's the awareness and the consciousness of your body and what you're doing to the body and the choices that you're making is equally as important as to actually doing them. Okay? I think that's very, very important. So let's just go, well, actually, let's go over on the first page. I did just a real quick rundown. The human body is so amazing and so complex. But I put a simple little analogy in here to maybe help it make sense for you guys. Okay? The human body was designed by God in a specific way to function a specific way. It needs specific things and nourishment to function properly. The analogy I gave is your car. Your car was designed. Your car was designed. You have to do specific things to your car to keep it running. You have to keep air in the tires. You have to put gas in the tank. You have to change the filters, the oil filter and the air filter. You have to do these regular maintenance to your car. If you don't, you know your car won't last as long. A car that could last 15 years might only last 5 if you don't treat it well, if you don't change the oil and do proper maintenance. Your body is no different. We think it is because we think we can do whatever we want and get away with it, but eventually it's going to catch up with you. If you take your car as an example, obviously if you put water in the gas tank, it's going to sputter and die and probably not even work. But you could put 90% gas and 10% water in your car, and it would function, just not as well. And eventually, again, it's going to wear down and break down much sooner than it should. And your body is no different. Okay? Your body has 75 trillion cells. I've read anything from 10 trillion to 100 trillion, who cares? Trillions and trillions of cells in the body. But the important thing to remember is that every single one of those cells need nourishment. Every single one of those cells is a living organism that has to have building blocks to reproduce. You are cells. Those 75 trillion cells are you. Okay, different ones have different design and different functions based on the different body parts, but they're all cells and everything works at the cellular level. You reproduce 150 billion-ish new cells every single day. Every single day. And you can't replenish those cells unless you have proper building blocks. Period. It's as simple as that. So again, we can abuse our bodies. We can eat nothing but junk. We can be sedentary and not exercise. And your body will still continue to reproduce cells. But every day, the cells that are reproduced are a little bit weaker, and a little bit weaker, and a little bit weaker. And eventually we develop a problem. And it can be minor at first, or it can be major right off the bat. Depends on what's going on in the body. But understand that it's your daily choices that matter. Anybody familiar? Yeah, go ahead.
I've read also that on the cell part, your cells set up to divide a certain number of times within your life. And the more you're sick and the more you beat up your body, the more times that cell has to replicate to repair itself.
Right.
Which ages the body faster.
Absolutely. Yeah, aging has everything to do with the cells and how quickly they reproduce and how well they'll reproduce. Again, what kind of nutrients they have, what kind of building blocks they have to replicate properly. You guys familiar with Jack LaLanne? You heard about Jack LaLanne who just died?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy, how old is he? Like 96 or 97? Yeah. I mean, did you see what he looked like? I mean, I can't believe he even died. The guy was like crazy healthy, And he was big into eating well and exercising. He was on, it was one of the talk shows. I don't remember what talk show it was. But he went on a talk show when he was 48 years old, and he did 400 push-ups at 48 years old on a talk show, consecutively. I mean, the guy was a machine. Now, we can't all expect to be like that, but I'm just making the point that if you take care of your body starting today, you can live a long, healthy life. One of my favorite sayings, it's not the life in your years. It's not the years in your life, it's the life in your years. Who wants to live for 30 years not being able to walk and on an oxygen tank? I lived to be 100, but the last 30 years were a miserable nightmare. No thanks. I'd rather live up like Jack LaLanne to 96 playing tennis and then just drop dead. I'd be fine with that. I would rather have quality of life over the number of years. So again, it starts with the decisions we make every day. So 6, 7, and 8 is just making the point that we lack vital nutrients because we don't eat the best foods. We have toxicity in our cells because of the environment, the world we live in, and we don't eat the right foods. And we have a lack of oxygen flow in the body. And if you have a lack of oxygen flow, you can't get nutrients into the cells and you can't get toxins out. So everybody can improve in this area. So again, these are just my top 10 things that we can improve on. And again, if it seems extreme to you, I promise, if you're able to institute these things, soon you won't even think about it. And I'll use myself as an example. I mean, I grew up on all kinds of not so great quality stuff. Every day I ate like white rice with sugar and butter and macaroni and cheese and candy all day, every day. That's just the tip of the iceberg, man. I didn't eat a lot of great foods growing up. Soda was a big one for me, and that's my number one thing. Definitely, I don't know how loosely you can use the term addictive, but drinking a case of soda a week, I'd call that an addiction.
Just a week.
3 cans of soda a day.
I was addicted to Pepsi.
Yeah.
A case a day.
Yeah.
24 cans a day.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is. It's an addictive substance. I've done classes on sugar addiction. I think I don't know if I put it in here or not, but I have classes you can watch online on sugar addiction. All my classes are videotaped and they're on the website. But sugar addiction is a big deal. I talk about sugar later in the top 10, but I start with soda because soda is just a big deal for me. I was hooked on it, and I believe it's the number one poison you can put in your body. Besides the obvious things of like drinking a gallon of bleach or something like that, the things that we can buy in a grocery store, the number one thing that you don't want to put in your body is soda pop. It completely eats up your body from the inside out.
I also heard another deal. It was a study at Harvard by an immunologist, and she found that actually carbonation was more harmful than any other substance in the soda because it blocks off the calcium in the body, which the immune system needs to function.
Right.
So that's actually the most harmful. Is the sugar is obviously really bad. But the
Yeah, he mentioned for the camera, he mentioned that the carbonation is equally, if not more damaging than the sugar itself. And if you see in the number one, the way I've termed it, I put eliminate diet soda, regular soda, carbonated beverages. All carbonated beverages. Okay? All your energy drinks.
Does that include champagne?
Technically, yeah.
Does it include champagne?
Yes.
Flatten it out before you drink.
Yep, any carbonated beverage. Now again, that being said, okay, you're never going to be perfect.
No, I'm not a beer either.
You're never going to be perfect, okay? And I put in the beginning, learn this phrase, make it the exception, not the rule. My goal when working with people is, again, knowing we're not going to be perfect, I'm not going to be perfect, take it out of your daily life. Just remove it from your daily life. Make that your goal. And then when you go to a function or a party or an event or a Super Bowl party or a dance or, okay, big deal. We got to live, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you have a chronic illness or something, it might be a little bit different. You might want to be a little bit more careful. But in general, make it the exception, not the rule. Okay, and that's with all of these things. However, I do say with soda, just eliminate it completely. It's such an addictive substance. Just drinking one can like flip that switch again and make you want to drink a whole case. And it's just unnecessary. We just don't need it. It should not be a part of our existence. One of the phrases I use a lot is that we're the only mammals that exist on the planet that are dumb enough to drink anything besides water. If you think of every animal that exists on this planet, the only thing they drink is water. You cannot name one single exception to that rule. Not one.
Baby cats drink milk.
Right. Baby animals drink milk,
Yeah.
and they're intelligent enough to take themselves off of the milk after 1 year and drink water.
And they're not stupid enough to drink other people's milk. like we
Exactly. Exactly. So we'll get to dairy. But water is what the body needs. The body's comprised of water. The body needs water. I'm not saying milk can't be a food. We'll get to milk. But you got to be careful with it. So number one is soda. So you see the 3 steps. First thing is just not buying it anymore. And these are actually the steps I took. The first thing I did is I stopped buying it so it wasn't in my home. Okay, and then if I went to a restaurant, I went out, I would have a Coke or a soda or whatever I was drinking. And that's how I kind of weaned myself off. Everybody's different. Some people can quit cold turkey. Some people can't. So there's an option here for you to wean off it. But eventually, when you do the step 3, you've 100% eliminated. At least for me, never even think about it. Thought never even crosses my mind. Once every 6 months when I'm out somewhere and I take a drink of someone's soda just to remind me how I can't stand the stuff. It just makes me just cringe and pucker, and it's just like, you don't realize how powerful of a substance that is because we're so addicted to it. Any questions on soda?
Well, you know the little thing that they did about pouring soda to get the rust off a hubcap?
Right.
Or off a pen?
Yeah, there's a whole list of things like remove blood from the highway and clean your toilet bowl, and it's a very caustic substance. Coke is, yeah. That's why I said it'll eat your body from the inside out. It literally just eats and destroys your body. Second thing, eliminate white. white flour, white sugar, white rice. I think everybody's heard this. We don't need to go into too much detail in it. But I think it's important for people to understand the background of why these foods exist in our culture, because they never used to, okay? This is a product of mass production. The reason that white rice and white flour and things like this came about is to be created for starvation foods, for rations during wartime, so that soldiers who were in the middle of the jungle could survive for months with a food that wouldn't spoil. And as soon as the food industry learned about it and got a hold of it, well, boom, they could just increase their profits. They wouldn't have as many losses because they wouldn't have spoilage. They started throwing this stuff on the grocery store shelves and selling it as food. And we've been the experiment ever since. But if you take animals and feed them white flour, they've done studies on deer, cattle, all different kinds of animal. If you feed them exclusively like white bread, they're dead within 3 months. It's not a food. All the nutrients are removed out of it. How do you keep something from spoiling? Okay, it's the natural cycle of all living food is to break down and to be reabsorbed into the earth to create more food. The only way to stop that cycle is to remove all the nutrients. So if you remove every nutrient from a food, you can put it on the shelf indefinitely.
I heard something, I can't quite remember, but there was something about, it said if you use preservatives, and maybe you're going to get to this, but if you use preservatives, then how does your body expel fat cells that are preserved? I thought, oh my God, that's so crazy. I never even thought of that. So if you're wanting to lose weight and you're eating preservatives, you're preserving things like your own fat cells.
Right.
This is crazy.
That's really interesting you say that, because just to freak y'all out a little bit, when Americans die, do you think they decompose slower or faster than people in other countries?
Slower.
Slower.
Well, preservatives in us.
Exactly. They've actually done studies on that Americans break down, decompose slower than people of other cultures because of all the preservatives in our bodies and in our foods. Scary thought.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And also, I would imagine it would probably preserve your illnesses or diseases, maybe.
Well, they store in your
Build
body.
cells off of-
Yeah.
Look.
Yep.
Yeah.
Toxins store in our fat cells,
Gross.
So that's one of the reasons we have such an obesity epidemic too. So eliminate white foods. Same basic steps. Step one, I don't purchase it in my home anymore. Again, you might have it when you're at an event or a function. Take it out of your daily life. Make it the exception, not the rule. And that's step two. I've eliminated it from my life except for just the very occasional, once a month, whatever event. Yeah.
Evaporated cane juice, would you consider that as white sugar?
Yes.
Can you
Yeah.
use palm sugar just like white sugar
Yeah,
in baking and stuff?
I actually have a sugar as one of the steps. So we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What was your question?
Cane sugar.
Evaporated cane sugar.
Sugar,
Yeah.
period.
Okay, so any other questions on white foods? You understand why they came about? They were never really meant for human consumption. Actually, something you could include on that I didn't, if you want to make a note, is salt, white salt. Same thing. People are scared to death of salt, and rightfully so. It'll damage the body, it creates major imbalances, it'll raise blood pressure. But it's the white salt, it's the processed salt. Same thing, all the nutrients are taken out of the salt. Salt from the earth contains 80 plus naturally occurring minerals. Excellent for our bodies. Exactly what we need to absorb nutrients. It builds the adrenal glands. It's how we get water into our cells. Sodium's critical. The number one mineral you need for survival is sodium. Water, oxygen, sodium. That's the main three things you need for survival. But we're scared of sodium. Why? Because we eat processed white salt that is poison. So you gotta eat sea salts, Himalayan pink salts, things like that. So anything white that's been processed, we gotta remove it. Okay? Step 3, dairy. This is a
Once again, why?
tough one for people, and a somewhat more controversial one probably than the first two. The first two are probably pretty obvious, but dairy. I believe dairy can be a food. Bible refers to a land flowing with milk and honey. People have been using and drinking milk for thousands of years. Again, it's the processing of it that is so damaging. I sincerely believe dairy is one of the most damaging foods you can put not only into any person, but especially children. If I work with any children, and it doesn't matter what the child has, if the child has allergies or asthma or eczema or psoriasis or diabetes, first thing I always recommend is taking them off dairy. And 4 times out of 5, the problem fixes itself. Not every time, but most of the time. Dairy is a very damaging food, again, because of the way it's been processed. Homogenization, pasteurization, totally destroys all the living elements of what was once a living food. And as you mentioned, humans drink human milk.
Right.
Cows drink cow's milk. Wombats drink wombat milk. You know, that milk is designed for that animal.
And for a very short period of time, cows do not go around producing milk and needing to be milked. That's like crazy and stupid.
Yep. So
So,
we really don't need it.
so
Yes.
if you're gonna use milk, use goat's milk.
Right. So that, if you look at the, and if you want to go to a great website, notmilk.com, that'll tell you how much, like, bacterial pus that the FDA allows into the milk that's on your store shelves, all the different types of viruses that are transferred through milk that cause rheumatoid arthritis and type 1 juvenile diabetes and those kind of things. All that kind of information is on this website. I don't want to get too much into that, but it's pretty scary what's going on with the dairy industry. The whole process of pasteurization and homogenization just gives a dirty industry an excuse to be dirty. Because if everybody had to drink raw milk, they would have to be super healthy conditions and healthy cows. So that doesn't work for big business. That's what we have to understand. So if you look at the different steps, 1, eliminating all dairy. I put exceptions for butter, yogurt, and kefir, except for maybe the occasional ice cream, cheese. Cheese is the big one. They actually did a survey on what is the most difficult things for Americans to give up. You'd think pop or sugar. Nope, cheese. Cheese, number 1 most difficult things for Americans to give up. We are totally addicted to cheese. Again, I'm not saying you can't have it once in a while on a salad, this and that, but make it the exception, not the rule. Stop buying it. Stop eating it all day, every day. My favorite thing is, my parents are here, so it's always fun, but my favorite thing going to the store was to get big hunks cheese. That's what I called it when I was a kid. Remember the big hunks cheese?
Get the big one.
Get the big hunks cheese. And it was a big block of cheddar cheese, and I would, you know, chunk it off by the block and just eat that stuff, man, every day. So take it out of your daily life. So then the next step is choosing mostly raw dairy products from farms. We're very lucky to be in Kansas, where we have farms all around us, and we have farmers that are producing raw milk, raw cow's milk, raw goat's milk. My preference is raw goat's milk. I didn't specify that here, but raw goat's milk is more chemically similar to human milk than cow's milk. Again, cow's milk is designed for a 50-pound calf to turn into an 800-pound cow in a year. Okay? It's not a food that humans can digest very well. Goat's milk, on the other hand, is much more similar to human milk and can be used as a food. And there's actually doctors who have used milk for curative illnesses and conditions, to heal intestinal disorders, but only the raw living milk. Yeah.
Where can you get it locally?
I can give you a
Raw
list.
goat's milk.
You can go to rawdairy.com, you can go to realmilk.com. I can give you a whole resource list. I can tell you the farmers I know personally that you can get milk from. Farmers markets will be starting up again in May, and we'll get some more and we'll pool resources. Yeah.
One of the things that they also discuss, and to get into it a little bit deeper, is with cheese, there's a lot more of a condensed chemical that is produced by cows that literally is like morphine. And that's one of the reasons, like, whenever women are nursing their babies, the baby will kind of, you know, it's pacified more by the mother's milk. It's literally like morphine.
All right.
Like, puts them to sleep, but it's very addictive. And so they basically talk about cow cheese specifically. It's very condensed, so it is addictive, which literally kind of for real is addictive, which
Sure.
is just sick.
Yeah, it is.
Just-
Again, if you go to that notmilk.com, man, you'll get more information on them than you ever wanted to know about dairy and what's going on with dairy. So,
If it's morphine-like, does it help with pain?
No, it's addictive.
It's just an
Just
addiction.
well, and it's a cow, so it's
Right.
just weird chemical stuff in the brain, and we're not babies, so we get over that.
Cow's milk is actually in a couple of enzymes different than mother's milk, and that's why we actually can't assimilated in our digestive system.
Cow's milk?
Cow's milk.
Right,
Goat's milk is closer to human milk,
right,
cow's milk, and it's the enzyme level of dairy.
right. That's why it's got to be raw. If you
Yeah.
pasteurize it, you kill the enzymes. The enzymes are what you need to break down and digest food. That's why infants can't process cow's milk. They also link drinking cow's milk in babies to SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. The babies literally suffocate in their sleep because they can't process this cow's milk.
A good book explaining this, An Apple a Day, it also explains the pH, which is very good.
Mhm.
It explains it too.
So any other questions on dairy? We'll move on. All right. Coffee. Now, it wasn't so much to put coffee on here, but it was more to stress the point that water should be the only beverage you should be drinking, water and herbal teas. I put on here the first sentence is coffee is not bad for you. Okay, lots of people drink coffee, but your double, triple, espresso, latte, foam-filled, whatever, whipped cream on top, Starbucks
Gross.
isn't the greatest thing. Okay, coffee's been used as a medicinal plant in the areas of the world where coffee grows for thousands of years. They use it for all different types of health conditions, respiratory conditions, asthma, all different types of things, medicinally. But you have to understand, any plant that's medicinal has to be used wisely, and it has to be used in moderation. And Americans aren't real good at doing things in moderation. So, if you want to drink coffee, that's fine. I recommend doing a good, organic, quality coffee, buying the whole bean in its raw form, grinding it yourself, and drinking a half a cup a day. Without creamer and sugar and everything else.
I'll just suck
Beans
the
for
bean,
half a cup.
you
We
know.
can leave it.
The problem with decaf is that to decaffeinate anything that's naturally caffeinated is a very heavy industrialized process. To pull something out of a plant that's naturally occurring, you have to use a lot of machines and a lot of chemicals. So it just, it basically renders it takes the caffeine out, but it's still poisonous because it's going to have heavy metals and all kinds of other toxins in it. They've done tests on Folgers and Maxwell, some of those common coffee brands, and those things are just loaded with heavy metals and toxins. Pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, all those types of things.
What I heard with it, it was also full of formaldehyde in order to get the
That's a
That's one of the
decaf.
things used for some of the
Yep.
That's
decaf.
a decaf.
Yep.
formaldehyde.
And
Another reason we don't decompose.
I just eat organic stuff.
Okay, so I want to stress here that water should be your only beverage of choice. Again, every mammal on the earth drinks water. We're 70+% water. That's the only thing we really need. Herbal teas is included in that. High water containing vegetables would include that. Celery and cucumbers and those kind of things. You know, they're 99% water. Watermelon's 99% water. Those are the foods we should be eating because they hydrate the body. Everything else you drink dehydrates you. Everything. Soda, milk, coffee, juices, everything else dehydrates you. And a really good book on water is any book by Batman Galich. He wrote Your Body's Many Cries for Water, You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty. And his viewpoint, he was a medical doctor who worked with people for I don't know how long, decades, but he felt strongly that if Americans were properly hydrated and drank water and not all these other beverages, that half of the diseases in America would disappear just by hydrating ourselves.
we're gonna have to change our water system first then.
Well, we're not going to get into that.
Right.
We're not going to get into the different types of water and things.
Did you
But
say his last name was Galich?
Batman Galich, like Batman,
And then
and then Galich, Ghelidj.
Ghelidj.
Yeah, it's close enough. If you Google it, I'm sure it'll pop up.
Would you say it once more?
You're not sick.
What's that?
Would you say it once more?
Batman and Galich.
Just say the book.
Yeah, you're not sick, you're thirsty. Your body's many cries for water. Drugs kill, water cures. That's another one of his books.
It's a new one.
I don't know. I just haven't mentioned a good one.
Is it true that if you take water from the faucet and you leave it in a container and just leave it open, like in a jar, and just leave it open, that the chlorine and everything else kind of,
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that though.
you don't trust?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you 1 minute on water. Okay, we shouldn't be drinking tap water. Okay? The number one thing that's causing arteriosclerosis, blockage into the arteries, is chlorine and water. which
What
is
water
huge.
should we drink? Just tell us the water to drink.
Well, I'll get there. So they actually did a study on deer. No, it was chickens. They gave chickens tap water and they gave other chickens filtered water, and the chickens that drank tap water in 3 months had complete blockage in their arteries. Obviously, it takes longer on humans, but chlorine causes blockages of the arteries. So if nothing else, you want to get a basic filter that pulls out the chlorine and the fluoride. Fluoride is also one of the most poisonous, toxic elements on the planet known to man. The only one more toxic that we put in our bodies is probably mercury from amalgams and things like that. So you want to at least get a basic filter to get those out. The best water on the planet you can drink, in my opinion, and this is controversial because you'll see people on both sides of the fence, but I believe in drinking ionized alkalized water, which is what's in that jug, which comes out of my machine. And again, I don't want to get into a long conversation about water because we easily could. But don't drink tap water. Your second best choice is reverse osmosis distilled water, only if you add minerals back into it, which puts life back into it so you can absorb it properly. And your best choice is the alkalized ionized water, which you actually have to buy a machine.
If you have to drink tap water, take it out of the hot water side, because once it's heated, the gases will evaporate out.
Well, if you're going to drink tap water, I should mention this. I do have a product, and some people I think are using it, the Audio Clarity. Maybe not they're here, but I have a product called Audio Clarity that you put in the water, and it's from volcanic activity. It's black mica, and what it does is it takes all the impurities out of the water, which are all the positively charged molecules, and they clump together and they fall to the bottom. And it renders them inert so they don't absorb into your system, and it adds 100 other trace elements back into the water. It's like drinking fresh mountain spring water. People love it.
Now, why wouldn't you drink mountain spring water rather than tap that has all that processing?
If you find some, let me know.
Mountain Valley?
No.
Why not?
No. Most
It's close.
Most spring water companies,
Yeah.
they get water originally from the spring, a spring, so they can call it spring water, and then they take it to their plant and they run it through the gamut. They run it through their machines and reverse osmosis and distill it and do all kinds of crazy stuff to it. But they can call it spring water because it originally came from a spring source.
And then if it's bottled in a plastic bottle, all
Well,
that
but
stuff
it's not.
saturates
It's
in the
glass.
water.
It's
Okay.
glass. They're glass containers.
It's better than drinking tap water. Like I said, I don't want to
I
get
know
into a
that.
big thing about water because,
I mean, what isn't better than drinking tap water? I guess
Well,
out of the street, but
yeah, sewage water, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah.
How do you spell the product that you just mentioned?
Adya, A-D-Y-A. Yeah, and that's cool because you can bring it camping with you, and if you can pull out water out of a stream and add the Adya to it, and it purifies the water.
So, how many gallons would it purify? Would you know?
There's different sizes. Yeah, I'll have to talk to you about it later. Okay, we're going to move on to step 5. Otherwise, this can be like a 3-hour class, which I don't care. You guys don't care. But step 5 is add fresh vegetables and lots of them. It seems obvious. It seems cliche. We've heard it 1,000 times. We don't do it. We've done classes on food combining and what I call 80-20 rules. I encourage you to ask me for the handout on it or watch the class online. But I give people a really easy way to do this. And it's the 3rd step. Follow a rule where 80% of every meal you eat is vegetables and 20% is something else. I don't care what the something else is. Piece of fish, wild rice, beans, it doesn't matter. But make 80% of your meals vegetables. It's going to be hard in the beginning, and one of the reasons it's hard is because people are very acidic. And if your body's very acidic, you don't like vegetables because it's foreign to your body. And you're going to have to change that. And it might be progressive. I grew up not eating vegetables. I mean, I ate your typical corns, potatoes, and beans, and that was about it. But I've changed my body. I've changed my body chemistry, and now I absolutely love vegetables. So your body can change, but you're going to have to start somewhere. So again, there's 3 steps there. But we have to eat more vegetables. As much as we hear it, and much people are stressing it, it's critically important. It's the number 1 food we should be eating. And French fries don't count. So any questions on that? That one's pretty
I
much
just heard that vegetables are really your building blocks, that those are really the building blocks for your new cells?
Absolutely.
Is it?
Yep, absolutely. And that's why you should eat a wide variety too, to get the different building blocks. Different colors, different
Rainbow.
Yeah, the rainbow of fruit flavors, yes.
Kind of going from step 5 into step 6 here.
Yeah.
Can you address the issue of how to get enough protein, or do we even care
No,
about?
we don't care about it.
Okay.
It's a total myth, just like
Because
calcium,
I'm doing
total
the
myth.
food combining and sometimes I'm not getting any protein.
Yep. Don't
That's it.
think about protein, don't think about calcium, just think about eating quality foods and having a good quality body.
Okay.
Remember, these things that we think are true have been shoved down our throats by marketing and advertising campaigns by multi-billion-dollar industries for our entire lives. The whole protein thing, American Beef Association. Okay? You never hear it anywhere else. Where do you ever hear anyone else talking about how you need to eat tons and tons of protein? No, it's all about selling beef. Just like the calcium is all about selling dairy products. Do we need calcium? Absolutely. Do you need to take calcium supplements and dairy products that are horrible for the body? No. So same thing with protein. Don't sweat it.
Okay.
Now, if you were like a super Olympic bodybuilder or something, you might need to take a little bit extra protein. Maybe, maybe not. But I know some guys who are raw foodists. They're vegans. They don't eat meat, and they're ripped. You know, you don't have to eat meat to build muscle.
Are they ripped? Are they big? Like, do they have a lot of muscle mass and they're ripped, or are they just normal, like meteor?
Normal size muscular,
Okay.
not like huge.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, step 6, meat. For those of you who don't know, we have a movie night here the first Friday of every month. So this Friday is our movie night, and we're going to be watching a movie called Eating. And they talk a lot of, and I mentioned it in here, the movie. They talk a lot in here about how when we switch from a plant-based diet, okay, again, that doesn't mean we didn't eat meat. We've always eaten meat. But when we switch from primarily a plant-based diet to eating primarily a meat-based diet, that's when our health just went to pots. Just heart disease, cholesterol, cancer, diabetes, everything just went through the roof. So, like I said in the beginning, I didn't say completely cut it out, but you got to cut back and you got to make more intelligent choices. Eating meat 3 meals a day is going to cause problems. And the movie does a really good a good job of describing exactly why and how that happens in the body. But it's a fact. That's the thing. These aren't just guesses. I mean, the research and studies have been done on this stuff. Okay, we know that eating too much meat is going to cause problems. So, and again, I'll go back to process of industry. Factory farms. Cows wallowing in their own feces. So sick and diseased that they have to shoot them up with antibiotics or they won't live. Slaughtered. You don't think that the life that they lived and the inhumane way in which they're killed doesn't affect the chemistry of their body and the quality of that meat and the quality of that food? You think there's a reason we have a very aggressive, violent culture? Could it have something to do with our food? Just throwing it out there. Okay? Again, studies have been done on this stuff. So, just make intelligent choices. I always like to go back in time. Okay, let's go back in time. Forget about the last 100 years. We've totally screwed everything up. Let's go back in time, different cultures around the world. Hunter-gatherers, we mostly ate our vegetables and harvested fruit off the trees and collected berries, and as silly as that sounds, that's how we've lived for thousands of years. And when they got meat, it was a delicacy. If they got a deer, they would have to preserve that deer and ration it out so that it could last for potentially months, especially through the winter or something like that. They didn't have grocery stores where they could go buy a slab of beef every single day if they wanted to. So we've always eaten meat, but we've eaten it intelligently and we've eaten wild game. So we got to kind of go back to that mentality. So this,
Catch a deer or you have a happy cow.
what's that?
What if you catch your own deer? I mean, that's neat.
Yeah.
Or like a happy cow. We call it happy cows because.
Happy cows are great.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the
What are happy cows?
Cows
Cows-
for my neighbor who doesn't fill it with.
in the pasture, grazing on grass.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's step 1. Intelligent meat choices. 100% grass-fed beef. that are actually roaming around out on the grass, the way they're supposed to live, not cooped up in farms and shot up with all these things. Cage-free, free-range chicken and eggs. Wild game is ideal. Deer, duck, elk, bison, all these kind of things. These animals are really lean. Why are they lean protein? Because they're actually out in the wild. They're actually moving. They're actually using their muscles. That's why it's lean protein. Why do cows have these big, fat, juicy, tons of fat slides? Because they don't move all day. I know it tastes good, but it's not good for us. Yeah.
I was just saying that I saw something, I'm not sure if it's true, but they said that cage-free isn't exactly cage-free. It only means that the animals see light for 5 minutes a day.
True story.
Okay.
So you got to be very careful. Again, we have farms all around here. There's tons of people around here that have chickens and that have more eggs than they know what to do with. You can get eggs for $2 a dozen from 100 different farmers around here. You just got to find them, okay? Because she's right. It's all about marketing, okay? You don't know that eggs are bad for you until so many people get sick or get angry or get fed up that something's done about it. So they pass a law. It's got to be cage-free. Well, the big corporations don't like that. So cage-free, well, just open your cage. The cage is open. Doesn't mean the chicken's running outside. Doesn't mean the chicken ever sees sun. It just means the cage is open. He has the freedom to do it if he so chooses. But he's probably got so many antibiotics and growth hormones in him, his legs are broken because his breast is so big. It's disgusting. So be careful about marketing and advertising. It's just part of this awareness, this new consciousness. So step 1, make intelligent choices.
I asked Whole Foods one day, I said, well, is that all, grass-fed?
Right?
He said, oh yeah, it's grass-fed, but then before we butcher them, they take them in someplace and give them corn.
Right.
And I thought, okay, GMO?
You got to ask. You got to ask.
Did not answer that.
Yeah, they do have 100% grass-fed beef at Whole Foods. They do. But they have grass-fed beef that they'd rather sell you that, like she said, it's grass-fed, and then right before they slaughter them, they load them up with corn to fatten them up, and then they slaughter them. So it's not 100% grass-fed beef. So you have to be careful. And the farmers market's a great place. There's tons of resources around here of people, and this is a growing thing. I mean, people are realizing, hey, food's kind of important for our lives, and people are waking up to this craziness that's going on. So it's going to continue to grow. This movement's going to continue to grow, and you're going to have more and more choices. Just stay in the loop. The second step is portion size. I always tell people what fits in the palm of their hand. What fits in the palm of your hand. So again, you got 80% vegetables, raw, steamed, sautéed, however you want to prepare them. I don't care. Eat a piece of meat that fits in the palm of your hand. Okay, no more porterhouse 1-pound steaks or whatever. Very hard for the body to digest. The other point I make is the design of the body. Human beings, if we were designed to eat lots and lots of meat, we would have big canine teeth, we'd have really short intestinal tracts, and we'd produce tons and tons of hydrochloric acid. That's not the description of a human being. That's the description of a lion. Lions are carnivores. They eat meat. It doesn't mean we don't eat meat, but we're not able to process the amount of meat we've been eating. We got to be more intelligent about it. Better choices, better portion sizes. Step 3, and this is where I fall in, eating meat about twice a week. Okay? Not hard for a lot of people. Step 4, completely eliminate meat. A lot of people are moving to becoming vegetarians and vegans and raw foodists and things like that. That's awesome. Definitely not for everybody, and definitely not necessary to be healthy. I'll just throw this in there because I don't want to get into a big deal about it, but there's never been a completely 100% vegetarian culture ever in the history of human existence. People would argue that. However, if you look at people who are almost strictly vegetarians, like the Hunzas who live in the Himalayas, they're 99% vegetarian. But they do drink some milk from their animals. They do honey products from bees and things like that. There's cultures that exist in Africa who eat mostly berries and just things that they gather. But they eat insects. Insects, one of the most nutritious sources of protein and B vitamins, specifically B12, that's missing from so many vegetarians' diet. Very, very nutritious. Grasshoppers and things like that. So every culture is eating some sort of a protein from an animal food. So if you want to be vegetarian, vegan, great. I think that's awesome. But I do recommend doing some kind of a protein, even if it's just eggs or something.
What about soybean?
Not soy. I'm not a fan of soy. Yeah, soy
Not
is
fish.
Beans.
Other beans
Fish.
and legumes.
Oh, yeah.
Fish
it's okay.
specifically.
Yeah.
Fish.
Yes, there's a lot of problems with soy. And it's another very controversial one, but there's so much negative information about soy, just avoid it because we don't need it. The reason soy was pushed as a health food is because they said vegetarians eat protein, right? Gotta eat protein, gotta eat protein. That's that thing that's been ingrained in our brains. So they said, soy. No. Okay. Step 7, processed sugar. How are we doing on time? Am I already... Not too bad. Okay. Eliminate processed sugar. So the soda's the obvious one. I give the example of we used to eat 5 pounds of sugar a year, and now it's 150 pounds per person per year, which is quite a change. And if you think of what a 1 pound bag of cane sugar is, multiply that by 150, and that's what you put in your body, or that's what the average American puts in their body. Which means that people that are being good eating only 5 pounds still a year, that means there's somebody else eating 300 pounds a year. So don't beat yourself up. Sugar is probably the toughest one. Okay? You're going to go to a party, you're going to go to a function. Don't eat a cookie and feel guilty about it. If you're really sad and depressed and you eat half a pint of ice cream, big deal. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't beat yourself up
You meant
about
half
it.
a gallon, right?
Yeah, if it's a full gallon, that's totally different. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Have the consciousness, have the awareness. If you're trying to do this and you can't do it, get help. Ask me. I can give you tips and tricks. I have products that make sugar taste like dirt when you eat it. There's all kinds of things out there that you can do. A lot of people crave sugar because their adrenal glands are wiped out. They're living on sugar because they don't have hormone production. When your adrenals stop working, we're going to do a class at the end of this month on adrenal glands. When your adrenals stop working and you stop producing adrenaline and your body needs fuel, it wants sugar. It doesn't care if it's a Twinkie or a whatever. It just needs it now, and it satisfies you. And some people are living that way, so you have to fix that. So start with the obvious ones, the step 1, the obvious stuff. Donuts and cookies and cakes and just the obvious stuff we know is not good for us. Doesn't mean you're not going to go to a birthday party once in a while and have a slice of cake. It's okay. Have the consciousness, have the awareness, and start incorporating it into your life. Second step is what you had asked about, the alternatives. Palm sugar, agave, raw honey. I've had adrenal issues. I've been rebuilding my adrenal glands. My sugar cravings have disappeared. Doesn't mean I don't have it once in a while, and I go to honey, and that takes care of it for me. It didn't before. Before it had to be like a donut, or I wasn't satisfied. So it's a progression. I've been working on this stuff for years. Okay? This is 10 steps. You don't have to do it in 10 weeks. Have the awareness. Start working on it.
So do these alternative sugars, do they trigger you to want more sugar like white sugar does?
Yeah.
They do trigger it?
Sure.
They-
It's still
okay.
sugar.
All right.
It's still sugar.
Because
Yeah.
I'm afraid to eat sugar.
Yeah.
Because I'm not on it anymore.
Yeah, then just don't do it.
What
Yeah.
about, what's it,
Succanut?
Succanut.
Yeah.
How's that? Is
That's
that-
fine. Yeah, that could be on the list of
Okay.
alternatives. Stevia is the best because it's not really sugar, it's just a sweet plant. So stevia is a great one to do.
That's
Xylitol is okay too. Depends on the source. Some of it's from corn. You really wouldn't want that one. You want the one that's from some type of tree, birch, or I can't remember what kind of tree it's from. But any other questions on sugar?
Just palm sugar works the same way as white sugar does in baking?
Yes, palm sugar you can use 1-to-1 with
Okay.
your white sugar.
Okay.
Yep.
Palm sugar.
Palm, yeah, it actually comes from a palm tree. Has a much lower glycemic index, has a much higher mineral content. So if you think about cane sugar is a water-based plant. So if it's water-based, roots don't dig very deep, which means they don't have very many minerals or very many nutrients. Palms, the opposite. Roots are very deep, has a lot of minerals. So it's a much more nutritious sugar.
What about brown sugar?
Brown sugar is just brown processed white sugar.
A lot of people will say use brown sugar instead of white sugar. You know. I mean, I don't use
That's
it,
like
but-
eat wheat bread instead of white bread. It doesn't work that way.
It's just down.
Okay.
It's just a
Vaughn?
Step 8. Yeah.
Is Suganat 1-to-1?
Yeah, Sucanat's okay. I don't know if it's
Is it
1 to 1.
1-to-1?
I've never used it, so I can't say.
What about honey?
Honey is not 1 to 1. You don't need as much honey. My dad's been making these muffins that are really good, and the recipe calls for like 3/4 of a cup of honey, and he's been using like less than that, and they still taste sweet and amazing. And it's the only sugar that's in it, and it tastes fantastic. So you'll have to experiment a little bit.
Well, the other thing about honey is it's raw honey is supposed to have a lot of vitamin B's. A lot
Yeah,
of
all the
B
bee vitamins are in honey, and bee pollen and royal jelly, all the bee products. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of bee products. Very nutritious, amazing foods.
I use Tupelo honey, which never sugars.
Tupelo?
It's only honey that never sugars.
Oh, really? I'm not familiar with that. Oh, that's cool. All right, so step 8, exercise every day. Another obvious one, like eat vegetables. You must exercise. Okay, we know these things, but again, it's got to be in the top 10 list because it's really that important. The body's meant to move. If you're sedentary and you're not moving, you're not getting oxygen to your system, you're not getting nutrients to your cells, you're not able to eliminate waste. You have to move the body. The lymph system, which is critically important, doesn't move unless you move. So, doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to join a gym. Find something you enjoy doing it. I say make it a job, get a second job. You know, if you're a structured type of person and you normally get up at 7, get up at 6:15, exercise, and do it every day like it's something you have to do. You got to find what works for you. It can be just walking. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'm a big fan of rebounding, the Cellerciser.
What's a rebounder?
A rebounder is a mini trampoline.
Oh.
It strengthens the whole body. It's the way the easiest way that I heard it described to me that made the most sense is how do you put on muscle? Okay, the way you put on muscle is by working against gravity, right? When you lift something, whatever you lift, you're lifting against gravity. The more weight you lift against gravity, the bigger your muscles have to be. When you're rebounding, when you're jumping, every single cell of those 75 trillion cells is working against gravity. You're strengthening every single cell in your entire body when you rebound. Every single cell. It's going to strengthen your digestion, on and on and on. The first time you do it, your whole insides are going to hurt like you just got shot or something, because it's going to strengthen your whole body. Your whole core is you're just going to feel it. So rebounding is amazing, and I recommend the Cellerciser because I've researched rebounders a lot. And if you get inferior products, inferior brands, if you go to the sporting goods store and buy a rebounder, you're going to pronate. Okay, when you jump, your body's going to go towards the middle, towards the center, and you're going to pronate, and it's going to cause you all kinds of joint problems and knee problems and hip problems and things like that. The guy who invented the Cellerciser rebounder, his dad was permanently disabled from jumping on a mini trampoline. He was jumping on it, and it was so shocking to his body that one of his bones broke and severed his spine. And because of that, he created one that has a spring system that even when you stand in the middle of it, you stay perfectly balanced. So it's a big deal.
There's one.
Yeah.
When you're on the rebounder, when you're floating, actually in your legs you got like flapper valves, and they're open to let the toxics come up. Where when you're jogging, they're closed. So all the toxics, and you put a lot of people here on the rebounder for 1 minute, step them off, and they'll be lightheaded.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it's actually a very good way to detoxify.
Yep. Absolutely. And like I was talking about the lymph system, the only way to detox the lymph system, which is what moves all cellular waste out of your body, the lymph. The only way to move it is to, like you said, open those valves, get those toxins flowing out, and get that lymph moving. Critically important.
So what were they doing these hundreds of thousands of years ago to get this?
They were hunting for food.
Yeah,
walking
they were
around
hunting,
getting
running,
it. They weren't
jumping.
driving to the store.
Just daily life, really.
Weren't
All
putting
right.
all the chemicals into them
Yeah.
and taking out.
I guarantee you all those like Aboriginal tribes over in Africa do
Alright.
not have lymphatic blockages.
All right.
You know, they stand around the fire all day and they're like, you know, I mean, really, you know, but so, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it was daily life,
All right.
you know, so,
There's a website called tuberos.com.
What's that?
A website
uh-huh,
called tuberos.com.
okay,
And it explains a lot of what you're talking about with the lymphatic system.
Oh, really?
And jumping on the cellular side of it.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
It's really good.
Cool.
So Vaughn, there is a difference in the rebounder then?
Yes.
I'll have to talk to you afterwards.
Okay. Yeah.
Because my sister, she had one given to her, and I said, well, it was like a $50. I said, I think there's a difference in
Yeah,
this
the
thing.
springs will break, and like I said, it'll cause you to pronate, and it can cause long-term
Damage. Okay.
damage. Yeah.
I'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay.
Well, what you just did, jumping up and down, is that as good as? with
It's
the-
not as good as a rebounder, because you think about the rebounder, you're actually, your body weight's going down and then springing back up.
So it pushes.
You're
the-
kind of limited on the earth. It's still a great exercise to do. Before I bought a rebounder, I did this for 30 minutes a day. I really did. I just jumped like this. It's best to do barefoot on the earth because it's going to strengthen your heels and your calves. I like to jump. I know. But
I've never seen anybody who actually enjoys that. It just cracks me up. I was like, let's just jump.
it's just a great exercise. But yeah, the rebounder's best. Rebounder's definitely best. But if you don't have a rebounder, you can't afford a rebounder, jump.
How much is the rebounder?
Jump rope. We know, go old school, man. We know jump roping is old school exercise that is awesome and works. And if you can jump rope for more than like 1 minute straight, like you're a superhero. Jump roping is hard. So,
Okay, can you do it in water if you have joint issues?
yeah.
Jump.
And the great thing about the Cellar-Sizer rebounder is it takes the pressure off of your joints. And they even recommend to start out, you can just do this.
Right.
Your feet don't even leave the thing. You just go like this. And when you strengthen your body and you strengthen your muscles, the weight, it takes the pressure off your knees. So it can actually be very healing for the knees. Okay.
Actually, you can have a person in a wheelchair, put them there with their feet on there, and get somebody to rebound. And if they'll stay with it, you can change their life, get them out of the wheelchair.
Yeah, that's the other thing they say in the book that comes with it is you can actually sit on it and just kind of bounce on it. Just
Right.
as long as you're getting that effect.
Right.
Yep. Okay, so step 9, sleep. No reason people should not be sleeping. If you're not sleeping well, I give a couple of things you can try here, and if it doesn't work, come see me or go see someone. I don't care if it's me. Go find someone who's going to help you sleep 7 to 9 hours every night uninterrupted. Okay, for people who don't normally sleep, they're like, that's crazy talk. However, there are things you can do to sleep well that are very simple, and that's when your body heals. That's when it repairs. That's when it creates new neurotransmitters. That's when it replenishes your hormones so that you're awake and vibrant when you get up. Sleep is critical to everything. It's one of the keys to anti-aging, is sleeping well. So if you're not sleeping well, don't just throw it off as, oh, I don't sleep well, you know, like it's not a big deal. It's a big deal.
One easy, very important to help you sleep is get the static electricity out of your body before you go to bed. Get grounded.
Right.
Get in contact with the earth because we're all running around
How do you
here.
do that? I mean, I'm already on
Walk
the bed.
outside.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things I have in here, Get Grounded. You can get an earthing pad or you can get a bed sheet to ground you. Well,
Okay.
I'll tell you about it another time. But there's technologies now that simulate connecting you with the earth. We used to live, eat, breathe, sleep on the earth, and now we're totally disconnected from it. We found all kinds of health conditions related to our disconnect from the earth. So this is a way to reestablish connection with the earth while you're in your bed. Awesome, amazing technology. So there's only one step in this one, as all the other ones have multiple steps. Step 1, you need to sleep 7 to 9 hours every night. Don't be scared to take naps. A lot of people feel like they can't take naps or they're like a wimp if they take a nap. If you need to take a nap, take a nap. If you need to sleep, if you need to go to bed at 10 and get up at 8 the next morning and sleep 10 hours every night, do it. Don't be scared to sleep. If your body needs it, your body needs it. Especially people that are kind of wiped out, adrenal exhaustion, things like that. They need more sleep because their body's healing. It wants the sleep. So it's okay. Did you have a question?
Well, it just says here that you don't want to stimulate your brain before you go to bed. No TV, no reading.
Right.
Reading will actually cause me to go to sleep. Is that okay?
That's okay if it causes you to go to sleep.
Yeah.
But just understand that it is stimulating your mind. So for some people, it can cause a problem.
Oh, you get
But-
crazy dreams too.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so don't worry about it. If it works for you,
Okay.
if it works for you, stick with it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it,
One
right?
of the things you say to help is magnesium, because I'm taking magnesium.
Yeah.
And it really does.
Yep, I
just
think I
help
put
so
that one here
much.
too. Yeah, get mineralized. Magnesium
Okay.
is great
Oh.
before bed. That's in here too. So any mineral to calm and relax you, there's all kinds of herbs. I don't want to get into that, but chamomile and, I mean, there's holy basil, there's kava. There's 100 herbs you can take too that can put you in a calm, relaxed state before bed as well.
I have those, and I'm always afraid to take them. I'm afraid they'll make me sleepy. All the,
Well, you might not take them in the morning, but maybe night before bed.
no, that's what I mean, at night. Take them in the morning. Oh my God.
So step 10, nourish yourself.
You, were you gonna talk about sweat, step 8, or did you already talk about it?
No, that's just part of exercise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of people, if they can't exercise, or you can do a combination of both, but like the far infrared sauna, sweating to release toxins, it's going to simulate that same effect. Opens up the lymphatic system, removes toxins from the body. Sweating is another great thing to do. So I just kind of included it in there. And then the last step is nourishing yourself. America is the most overfed, undernourished nation on the planet. It's just because we eat the wrong foods. Again, going back to those 75 trillion cells and the 150 billion that are being renewed every single day, they need the proper nutrients. They have to have a foundation. If they don't replicate properly every time, that's aging. Simple as that. They get weaker and weaker every time they replicate, and you age faster and faster. Everybody's seen examples of that. Everybody's seen examples of people who had some kind of health condition or had some kind of addiction, and they just aged really fast. I mean, they got wrinkles and gray hair like way before they should. So everybody's seen this happen. So understand it's the choices you make today that are going to affect how quickly you age. So the first step I put, make sure you've done the prior things. Because people want that quick fix, that magic pill. People want to come in here and be like, what can I take to be healthy? Okay, well, I can tell you some things, but if you're not doing these other things, you're looking for a Band-Aid, basically. People are looking for, they still want to support all their bad habits and their bad eating habits, but take like that one magic pill that's going to make them better. Doesn't work that way. So, to nourish your body properly, it's best to start. You notice a lot of the first steps are elimination things. They're just things that are burdening our system. And each one you do is going to take a burden off of the system. It's going to take a burden off of the liver, burden off the kidneys, a burden off the intestinal tract. It's going to help your digestion. It's going to take a burden off of everything as you start to eliminate these things. And then when you put the right foods in your body can actually recognize them. It can actually absorb them. It can actually utilize them. It works much better that way.
So I'm assuming cigarettes and alcohol are one of those also.
Ew.
Yeah, not so much.
Good, I like you now.
Step 2, focus on life-giving foods. Again, awareness. I put note, accomplishing this step is just having the awareness. Be aware of every food that you eat. Is it a life-giving food? Was it created by God and it's close to its original form as possible? Or is it this processed whatever? Again, you're not going to be perfect. It doesn't mean you're not going to eat processed stuff once in a while. We all do. We all will. So, but just having the consciousness and awareness of what you're putting in your body, whether it's providing life to you or not.
Death starts in the bowel.
That's it.
Life begins and ends.
It's all about your fork. So step 3, I put see an herbalist, naturopath, somebody else, just to learn the best foods and supplements to put in your body. That's it. And then, again, these are just the first steps. I'm going to probably do a class in March with kind of some more advanced stuff. There's actually an article I wrote in Evolving Magazine. It's the top 5 steps for vibrant health, and it's all different things. It talks about earthing, it talks about some other things, kind of maybe some more advanced stuff or whatever, but stuff that's easy, that like you can start doing tomorrow. So you can read that article too. But you notice in these top 10, I didn't put cleansing and detoxification and a liver cleanse and a colon cleanse and all those kind of things. Because it's a lot easier to cleanse when you've already taken this huge burden off of the body. Otherwise, why are you cleansing?
So I can
I mean, some people do that.
Put more junk in.
Exactly. Some people do that, and that's okay. I mean, I don't, whatever people want to do. But, you know, we're in a colon hydrotherapy center. People come in and they get colonics, because they just want to eat whatever they want, and when they start to feel miserable, they come in and get a colonic, they get relief, and they go back to eating whatever they want to get.
Oh, that's gross.
But that's just how it is. I mean, that's so.
We did it in Roman time.
It's much easier to cleanse and detoxify the body when you've taken this initial burden off of the system, and your system is stronger, and your system is starting to work better. You're going to be able to eliminate toxins better and quicker. So that's why I saved that for later. And that's it. Any final questions or final thoughts? Again, Friday night is movie night. We're going to watch Eating. Awesome movie. Mind-blowing, boggling movie.
Matt, is this going to talk about more gross stuff?
More gross?
Thursday night is going to be a class. I'm doing a series on Thursday nights called The Amazing Human Body. We're going to do the liver, the colon, the spine, the heart, the adrenal glands, and then I think I'm going to continue it on because there's just so many fun body parts to talk about. So I'll probably continue that Thursday one on to the thyroid and whatever else, and just keep going on with that. But that'll be fun too. And with each class, we're going to talk about like amazing facts about that organ or gland or system, how important it is for your health, and then I'm going to give you like a little bit of a protocol for like herbs you can take to heal that gland or organ and cleanses you can do for that part of the body as well. And again, you can just do these progressively, do these one at a time. People want to get healthy and like get all crazy and they go overboard and they're like, all right, I want to do a cleanse, let's party. But that's not the best way to start a lot of times. People will have major healing crisis and healing reactions if they try to do too much too fast. So I believe in baby steps and just taking it slow. It's a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
What time Thursday?
Thursday, all the classes Tuesday night and Thursday night are 6:30. The movie night Friday night is at 6.
Are you doing anything on food combinations?
I've done classes on food combining in the past. If you want a handout, I can give you one. I'll print one out for you. And the class is on the website. It's food combining principles, and I make it simple. Food combining can be so complicated. 3 basic rules, super simple. If you follow them, you'll never have gas or bloating or digestion or problems or heartburn or anything like that, unless you got a major backup or a major problem. And then 80-20 rules are in there too. So yeah, you can watch that online as well.
Cool.
Anything else?
I was surprised that in your amazing body you didn't have the brain.
It'll be in there.
Okay.
There's just a lot of body parts, like I said. There's a lot of fun stuff to talk
How
about.
much does that cellulizer, whatever that thing cost about?
The seller sizer is $305. That includes tax and shipping. You can actually buy it from me.